say the game is getting old. Monday morning and your coffee's cold. Life is not what you want it to be. You need another.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to A New Direction. My name is Jay Izzo, and oh my goodness, do we have a great show for you today. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell you how excited I am for today's show. I know I'm excited about every show. It's kind of what I do in my career and in my life here, but I'm going to tell you what, today is so super special. It is none other, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's none other, world's number one expert, number one best-selling author of relationships all over the world with over 50 million copies sold. Ladies and gentlemen, he's coming to the show. His name is Dr. John Gray. Yes, that Dr. John Gray. He wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and he has got his latest book, which is called Beyond Mars and Venus. Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, let me just tell you something. This book is a game changer. I have actually applied many of the principles that John talks about in this book with my wife and our marriage. And can I tell you something? It works. It sure does. It works. It is fantastic. You're going to love him. You're going to love what he does. You're going to love his book. I'm going to tell you, it's an eye-opener for every relationship. I don't care where you're at. I don't care if it's a marriage, if you're dating. I don't care if it's work relationships. I don't care if it's your children. The idea of what he's talking about here is absolutely fundamental to understand how we can do better and have a next level relationship here in the complex world that we live in. But before we get to John real quick, let's do what we do every week, right? Walk you through your training. You know, we're a four-part people. We are physical, mental, emotional, spiritual people. And you know what? You have to be in training every day. As the Special Operations Forces guys have told us who've been on this show, whether they've been Navy SEALs, Green Berets, or Delta Force, they've said exactly the same thing. When you're under stress, when you're under pressure, when you are exhausted, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your training. And so we have to be in training in these four areas of our life, because that is the only way that we are going to be at our best when we are exhausted, when we are under pressure. And by the way, folks, we're in a pandemic. We're under pressure every day, right? Whether you want to realize it or not. This is why our training becomes so much more important in today's world, right? So physically, let's look at the physical number. I'm going to have you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being miserable. My training is just awful. 10, man, my training is so good, right? What do I mean by physical? What I mean is these four areas. Your exercise regimen. How would you say you're doing in your training? Exercise, right? How is your diet? How is the fuel? The fuel that you're putting into your body. Is it good fuel, bad fuel, or junk fuel, right? Because what you put in is what you're going to get out. Then how about your sleep, right? Because here's the other part of it, right? If you're not getting the right amount of sleep, if you're not sleeping enough, right, that's gonna hurt you physically. And then the fourth part is hydration, right? Folks, I know that we drink a lot of water, and drink a lot of other things outside of water, but that's not the point. The point is to be drinking water and hydrate. It is so important to not only your body and your skin, but also we've got these 5,000 neurochemicals running around in our brain. And you know what? Water basically helps balance all that stuff out inside there in those 100 billion, little synaptic clefts that we have running around in our brain, right? So how would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, right? 5 being average, all right? That's your first number. Second number is your mental number. And when I mean mental training, I'm talking about what are you doing to be actively in your knowledge, your wisdom, your understanding, and growth physically, and personally and professionally, right? I'm talking about active participation here. I'm not talking about sitting down and let something come at you. I'm talking about like literally sitting down and reading a book and growing your mind. I'm literally talking about, being an active participation. I had a friend he's in his 50s, and he said to me, you know what, I'm going to grab a guitar. I'm going to learn how to play the guitar. What a great thing to expand your mind. Both your left brain and your right brain get to work, right? Don't be a mental loafer, right? Don't be lazy and try to just let things come at you. Be active in your participation. So if you could say on a scale of 1 to 10, how you are doing being active in your participation mentally, what score would you give yourself? All right, now you have two numbers. Third number is the emotional number. And I'm only going to look for two areas. We can go into all sorts of things about emotional quotients, emotional intelligence, and things like that. But here's what I'm looking for. One, How well are you able to control your emotions when you're under stress? That's the first question, right? By the way, everybody's running around with a mask and things right now. You go into a store. Here's a perfect example. You go into a grocery store. You're in a hurry. And all of a sudden, the person in front of you forgets their billfold as they're paying for a bunch of groceries. How well are you able to control your emotions in that instant? All right? So it's emotional controls first. And then the second piece is, how well are you able to tap into and understand and have the grammar to understand the emotions of others? Going beyond empathy, really understanding, really having a grasp of grammar. I suggest to you guys especially, really, would you just Google up, like emotional grammar? You will see these little faces of all the different types of emotions, the variations within emotions. We're just not angry, sad, and happy, right? The variations are so great. And when we understand those variations, it just helps us understand others. By the way, it doesn't matter if it's in your personal relationship or your business relationships. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you say you're doing in your emotional part of your life? And then finally, the fourth area, the spiritual area, right? There's an old saying that says, you know what? Being spiritual isn't going to church and thinking about kayaking. Being spiritual is going kayaking and thinking about God. You know what? Here's the real truth. The truth of the matter is we're all spiritual. We all believe in something. I don't care what it is. You believe in something. You have faith in something about how you believe and how this world operates. That's faith. I don't care what it is, right? The question then becomes, if that's what you believe in, how's that working for you? Is it giving you the sense of peace, the sense of joy in the midst of chaos that you hoped it would give you? Because if it's not doing that, then it's not working. So whether it's God, whether it's meditation, whatever it may be for you, how is that working for you? And then what do you got to do to change it? Those are the 4 areas of your life, right? And so you have 4 numbers. Think of those 4 numbers as the 4 legs of a chair. If those 4 legs of the chair are out of balance, you know what? So is your posture, which means so are you. By the way, if the chair's too low, you can't sit at a table and eat healthily. And that makes things difficult for you as well. And that brings me to my next guest, Dr. John Gray. He really doesn't need any introduction, but he is the #1 best-selling relationship author of all time. He is the author of over 20 books, including the New York Times #1 best-selling relationship book entitled Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. His books have sold over 50 million copies in 50 different languages around the world. He is leading international recognized expert in the fields of communication and relationships. His unique focus is assisting men and women in understanding, respecting, and appreciating their differences. John's advice can be easily used to improve relationships at home and the workplace. I did it, folks. This is not something part of his bio. I'm telling you, ask my wife, those of you who know her, if this stuff doesn't work. It works. John Gray is a popular speaker on the national and international lecture circuit and often appears on television and radio programs to discuss his work. He has made his guest appearances all over: Oprah, Dr. Oz, Good Morning America, Today Show, CBS Morning Show, Fox and Friends, Good Morning New York, Larry King Live, CNN Company, many other. Listen, he's been all over. He has been profiled in major publications all across the United States. And you know what? He joins us today. You can check him out at marsvenus.com. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome to the show, Dr. John Gray. John, welcome to A New Direction. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me and for your intro. I'm so inspired by everything you say. You know, people don't realize how important it is to resonate with somebody who's motivated. Motivation is so important. And in those 4 areas, it was such a key. I just finished my workout with my trainer. If I didn't have him, I would not have the muscles I have. He pushes me to the max, and then I feel great. If people could just understand the importance of someone who's been there, who does it, who's an example, and I see that you are, and I'm just so impressed. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you so much, John. John, I love the book. Let's dig right into it here. And one of the things is that you talk about right away in the book is our world has changed. When my dad and mom got married, your dad and mom got married, everybody stayed in their lane, so to speak, right?
Exactly.
Right? I mean, dad worked, mom stayed at home, and you have a very specific thing that you talk about here is role mates versus soulmates, because that's what's changed for us here. So help people understand some of the differences that we have now in today's world, going from role mate to soul mate, and how that changes our relationship dynamic.
Yeah, so it's a simple definition of soulmate. The term's been around for a long time, but it's somebody in the old days it was somebody who completes you. And what I want to say is it's somebody that inspires you to grow and emotional fulfillment, being in love. When I travel around the world, every country I go to, 200 different countries, I say, okay, what do you want me to talk about? What are the big issues? And we vote on them. It's always how to sustain the passion in a relationship. Now, my parents had a great relationship. They stayed in each other's lanes. They had harmony. They had comfort. They had ease. But the passion went away and everybody expected it to. That was called the honeymoon period, and it goes away. So practically speaking, he does his job. She does her job. Today, everything has changed. Why do people want passion? Because it's possible, one. And two, the challenge in relationships is that as men marry women, and women are more not traditional in terms of the 50s and 60s, but they're going over to their male side. They're making male hormones that reduces their female hormones. And so what they need is more romance, more communication. And when they get that, their estrogen levels, the female hormones, begin to increase, and they feel a higher level of passion, which is when you have both masculine and feminine, you get that passion. And you talking today, all that passion that you express, that's being on your male side, which is testosterone. That's competence, that's confidence, that's service. It's making a difference, and it's commitment. Those are our male qualities. Many women both have those qualities, and now we're free to find both of them and express both of them. And also, you love your work. You can see it. You get off on it. You're happy doing it. It's enjoyable. You love it, and you love the people you're caring for. Love, happiness, joy, those are produced by female hormones. And what we all have the opportunity to experience today is a balance of both. The problem is that our culture makes it free for women to go to their male side, men to go to their female side, but it doesn't teach us how to find that balance. So women get overwhelmed on their male side, need help getting back to their female side, and men need a new job description, which is how to help her get back to the female side, and then both people are happy.
So, and this is really quite interesting, because you also say here too, this is not just a psychological issue. This is a biological issue.
Yeah, this is purely biology.
Yeah, because we need to get past this idea that somehow we're just exactly this. We're not. Our biology makes us different, and our hormones that we produce. Because you even make the point here that males produce 10 to 30 times more testosterone than women, and at the far end, of course, of the testosterone spectrum, and then women produce at least 10 times more estrogen, right?
Now, the key factor there, Jay, is men need to make 10 to 30 times more testosterone. Otherwise, their stress hormones increase. And women need to make 10 times more estrogen compared to a man. Otherwise, if her estrogen is lower than that, her stress hormones are high. And you started out by talking about training. It's all about training, and training is all about repetition of what you want to achieve and be. And that grows neural pathways in the brain, repetition, repetition, repetition. So it becomes automatic. Because, as you said, when stress levels go up and we're all under stress, we automatically go to our training. We no longer have free will or choice. We automatically go to training. That's a function in the brain that when stress levels go up, blood flow stops to the prefrontal cortex, which is where we're in control, and we can create new training in the front part of the brain. We have choice, we have free will. But as soon as stress levels go up, the brain goes into prioritizing your training. And guess where our training came from? Our parents, when we were from 0 to 7 years old, babies, children are in a theta brain state. That means you're in a state of hypnosis. So they're completely absorbed by the culture, by their parents' reactions, by their parents' feelings. And where did their parents get their training? From their parents and their parents and their parents. So it goes back. So we have a lot of primitive reactions which automatically occur, and we can start retraining our brain to have the reactions that work and the patterns of behavior that work. But we have to know what works. And that's why this book is so cool. It helps us to realize, for men, how to keep those testosterone levels up, what women can do to help you out, and for women, what they can do to keep their estrogen levels up, and what men can do to help you out.
Yeah, I think people have a misconception, and you do such a beautiful job of writing about this in the book, is that, of course, we have this thing called behavioral endocrinology now, where we understand that our hormones don't just work one way. They don't just affect our moods. The hormone doesn't change and affect our mood. We can actually be doing things that affect our hormones.
Yes, very important.
Right. And it's really important for people, I think, to grasp that. And it's really important here in your book, because I think it's the crux of everything that you say, is that, like my wife owns her own business, right? So she makes pretty much every decision on her own.
Yes.
She's independent. She's detached. She's the problem solver. She has to be tough.
All those behaviors stimulate testosterone.
Right. So I think we need to kind of discuss this a little bit, that we need to understand that, how do we get men and women to understand that what we do largely influences which hormone we're actually influencing.
This might be the first book ever written that focuses on that, based upon a collection of research. For example, you look at one of the first things that we saw many years ago is when a man's football team is winning, his testosterone goes up. He's just sitting there, but his testosterone goes up. And when his team is not winning, his testosterone goes down. So a winning attitude, which I summarize as being confident, when you're being faced with challenges and you're confident, your testosterone goes up. So logically speaking, if a woman wants to know how to pump her husband up so he has more to give to her, is she would say things, she'd be more mindful about saying things like, what a good idea. Well, that was so helpful. I feel like giving you a hug. I'm so glad you're here. That makes so much sense to me. Whenever you use just those three phrases, women can remember, that's a good idea. That makes sense. And
Right.
You're right. Whenever they say you're right, your testosterone will go up. And the good news about this is that whenever a man's testosterone goes up, his stress levels go down, and he's able to feel more his love for her, and love opens us up to selfless behavior. So when a man is most romantic, for example, his testosterone is the highest. That time when a man is kneeling before a woman to pledge his love, his testosterone is double. It doubles. That's when he's feeling in love. And that as well as in the bedroom, when his heart opens fully, his testosterone levels temporarily double. So this is like a really important insight to have. And women, on the other hand, when they feel safe and cared for and understood, their estrogen levels go up. And this you can glean right away. And then I find more research. But when a woman goes to a doctor, for example, and says, I'm dependent on you for help, her estrogen levels will go up. When women come to me as a counselor and want my help, just being in the room asking for help, and they trust that I can give it to them, their estrogen levels go up. That's why if you see in all the old novels, the woman is like in need of help and the man comes along and rescues her, then she feels like, oh, I could trust you. You're my man. And so therefore her estrogen levels double and she falls in love. So bonding happens between men and women when women's estrogen levels double, and bonding happens from a man to a woman when his testosterone doubles. So this is so interesting. And for all of us as married people, we know that we have times where we're just deeply in love and times where, we're businesslike and so forth, and we're good friends, but that passion isn't there. But all you have to do is know what are the behaviors and the ways of interacting in your life and with your partner to double your hormones, testosterone for men, estrogen for women, and you can come back to feeling in love. And that's what we want to do, is come back to that loving feeling again and again through relationship.
His name is Dr. John Gray. The book is entitled Beyond Mars and Venus. Yes, it is that Dr. John Gray. He did write, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. It's him. Yeah, it is. And you're listening to him here you are. You're listening here on New Direction. So one of the things that you really discuss here in terms of understanding how this happens, and I thought maybe we could do a little example, because you do give examples in the book. Let's take my wife. She, owns her own company. She has to make her own decisions. So as we're talking about that, and we talk about her, so here she is all day at the office. What's happening to her hormonal levels at the office at that time for that whole day?
Two different things. One is her testosterone is going up. Now, her estrogen levels are not being produced unless she's really having a good time and she's stress-free and she feels she's very much supported by others, and she doesn't have to make decisions all on her own, but she feels support and buffers. That's the ideal setting, right? Which life doesn't always give us that. However, if she has a personal relationship outside the workplace where she goes to work, she's making testosterone. If she knows, I anticipate going home to my wonderful husband who's going to greet me with a smile and a hug, be attentive to me for a little while, and give me the support I need, then just anticipating coming home to her husband or her partner who's going to produce the estrogen will start making the estrogen already while she's at work. So that's the good news. A woman could be in a very stressful job where she doesn't feel backup, but she anticipates, I'm coming home to warm and fuzzies, someone who's there for me, and I don't have to do it all on my own, but they're there. Then that anticipation can be producing estrogen in her body while she's busy at work, which is stimulating testosterone.
His name is Dr. John Gray. The book is entitled Beyond Mars and Venus, and you're listening to him here on A New Direction. Hey, folks, you know what? I have two great sponsors, right? Epic Physical Therapy and Linda Craft and Team Realtors. I talk about them all the time, but literally, Epic Physical Therapy just opened up another location. Yeah, that's right. They really did. Listen, they work with professional athletes, seriously, from all over the world, to people who are just having a little problem, just getting around. I mean, look, if you're having like an injury, yeah, and maybe had post-surgery and you don't know what to do and where to go, or maybe you just want to just move better, right? Because you've kind of been slack. Guess what? The folks at Epic Physical Therapy will provide you with a customized treatment plan tailored to your individual needs. With their experience at rehabbing young athletes and elite professional athletes, look, they really do understand the need to treat the entire body as a functional whole, right? Not just your symptoms or your injury. So when you're ready for your epic relief, your epic recovery, and your epic results, don't look any further. Just start with epicpt.com. That's EPICPT.com. And Linda Crafted Team Realtors. You know what? For over 35 years, Linda has been at the top of her game when it comes to real estate. Wow. Well, how does she do that? Well, she understands the power of relationships and memories. You go, what? What does that have to do with real estate? Well, first of all, memories are made in a home, right? We all remember our grandmother's home. We all remember the times that we had there, right? We all remember that. Our first home that we ever had, we can still remember it, right? Those memories are powerful and they're important to us. She understood that. She also understood that relationships, far more than anything else, are the most important thing when it comes to doing the real estate business, because it is people to people ultimately, right? So when you're ready to talk to somebody who really understands the power of the memories that you've built in your home, and that you want somebody who really understands you and wants to have a relationship with you, then, if you got to sell your home or buy your home, don't look any further. Go to Linda Crafted Team Realtors. You can learn more by going to lindacraft.com. That's LINDACRAFT.com. And we're back here on A New Direction with Dr. John Gray and his book, Beyond Mars and Venus, Relationship Skills for Today's Complex World, How to Take Your Relationship to the Next Level. So John, when we before we last left, we were talking about the woman who works at home and has her own job or is working in a job. And by the way, you also make a point to say that some jobs produce more testosterone than others. If you're an attorney or maybe you're a real estate person, I think probably that fits into that mold too, that you're probably producing more testosterone in those type of jobs, especially where you are taking on a lot more of the masculine qualities. So the woman comes home to her partner, right? Let's say me, right? She comes home to me. And I've had a long day at work, John. I've been very busy, and man, it's been just a rough day, right? Who complains first? Or what do we need to do here?
Well, what I suggest, and this was a big item in the Men Are From Mars book, is ideally men take some time in their cave, just time to be quiet, not having to interact with their family as much. The children sometimes invade you, and that's okay. But that feeling of responsibility, you've been responsible all day, that is using up your testosterone, and literally doing something to relax for just 20 minutes or so is going to rebuild your testosterone. If you go right into a lot of interacting with your wife, you love her, you care about her, that's going to raise your estrogen at a time when you need to rebuild your testosterone. Now, the flip side of this is what she needs. This is where we tend to be at odds. She's had a stressful day. If she feels safe, she's often want to talk about her day with you. Oh, this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened. And so that's her need to produce estrogen. When women talk about what's bothering them and their feelings, it produces estrogen. If men talk about what's bothering and it produces estrogen as well. So the best thing is for men to keep quiet, take some time. And sometimes if you get good at this, just simply give your wife a hug first right away and say, what's going on? How's your day? And listen. And as long as you don't talk much, you're actually would be rebuilding your testosterone if you're aware that you're helping her. See, most men don't know that by just listening, just being present with her and asking some questions, what questions to ask? I might give men some direction here. It's kind of like, well, what do you say? Just keep it simple in the beginning. Help me understand that better. When she says something, oh, tell me more about that. Or help me understand that better. Or what else? And just be paused and something more will come out. If something more doesn't come out, it's usually because she feels a little embarrassed or afraid to talk to you. That means she doesn't feel safe. And that takes time for many couples, for the woman to feel comfortable revealing everything inside. Why? Because so many times a wife will talk about what's bothering her, what's going on, and the man will go, oh, that's ridiculous. Or why are you upset about that? Or you shouldn't do this, you should have done that. Or, the first time I tried this when I married my wife 34 years ago, she was complaining about her job, and she works hard. She said, she was talking about the problems with the computer and the people and whatever. And I said, honey, you don't have to do that. Quit that job. As if that was some advice that was going to help her. And she said, John, I know I can quit that job. I love my job. It's just frustrating sometimes. I just want to talk about it. I said, okay. And so that's where one of the key ideas of Mars Venus is learning to listen without having to fix things and solve things. And get trusting, she'll get through it. She'll work through it unless she very specifically says, well, what do you think I should do about that? And even when she does that, I will say, well, help me understand it better. Because the more women can talk about things that are bothering them, their stress level will go down if you don't try to interrupt with fixing things. Fixing things produces testosterone. Indulging and sharing what's going on inside produces estrogen, which is why 90% of people who come to therapists, talk therapy, are women, because women immediately notice the benefit. If I just kept asking you questions about your day, you're going to say, and I'm paying for this.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing that I think is so counterintuitive for most men, is because we are such problem solvers, and it's a natural part of our side of our masculine piece, is that every time we hear a problem, we kind of want to go into superhero mode.
Yes, we're like firemen. Every problem is a fire, and you got to put it out right away.
Right.
And that's why if we get this knowledge in our head that actually putting out the fire, the way you do it is by not putting water on it, but by giving it more attention, give her attention. And so it's a matter of getting it in your head and in practicing. And then you get a new training, you get a new pathway. And women can help with this. All right. Here's how my wife helped me. So much of what I do, really, I grew in my relationship with Bonnie. And one day she was talking about some things that were bothering her. And part of it had to do with me, which made it even harder to listen. And so she's going on and it's going on. And I'm just sort of listening. And my posture's bent over and I'm sort of like getting tired. And she said to me, John, I know this is hard for you. I know it seems like there's nothing being accomplished, but I want you to know just by being able to share this, I'm sorting it out inside so I can feel better. So something good is happening. And as soon as she said that, I went, okay, I'm good for another 10 minutes.
It's so true, though. I was telling you before the show started that I was having this moment with my wife, and we had dinner, and we had dinner together, and we were just kind of cleaning up some of the bigger dishes and kind of washing, and she's standing there, and she's telling me about, I'm just for the real, I'm really being intentional that I am going to listen. And not only am I not going to respond by not fixing something, but I'm truly going to listen with an authentic, wow, how did that make you feel? Or, so what did you do then? So, right? I mean, I was being real authentic because I was really trying to be really interested in what she had to say, right? I mean, I took an active interest. And here we are, we're just finishing up the dishes and she's talking, and she's going on about what's going on in the day. And literally, I put down the last dish on the drying towel. And literally, she comes and gives me a hug and says, I feel so close to you. I was like, why didn't I read this book? Like, why did it take me 22 years to read this book? Right? I mean, it's like, I was like, oh my gosh. It was like literally it fell out because she just needed to get out her day.
Yeah, process it.
Yeah. And we don't operate so well that way.
Well, men don't instinctively understand this because often when we're stressed about something, what our mind does is says, well, what can I do about it? If there's nothing I can do about it, then what's the solution? Temporarily forget it. Hey, there's nothing I can do about it, so let it go. So we have a lot of problems during the day that aren't fully solved. And we come home, theoretically, now we have internet, this is a problem, but you come home, well, there's nothing I can do about it now, so forget it. Now, some men are losing that ability because psychology is telling men to express all your feelings. But if you express your feelings of the day, you're actually making estrogen. You're not rebuilding your testosterone. And many women often will sense, I can't share my feelings if he doesn't share his feelings. So women will approach us, tell me about your day. What are you feeling? What's going on? And a guy will say something like, nothing. It's okay. No big deal. And then she'll feel, oh, it's not safe for me to share what's going on. So a lot of women don't even know that they have a need. Your wife knows it. So that tells me that you're a safe guy, but that she could actually share and open up with you like that. Some women don't feel safe to open up and share like that. So what they do is, so they don't feel the discomfort of needing to share that, they go back to what's most familiar and they go to their male side of fixing things. And so their mind becomes overwhelmed. So you'll see this with a lot of women is their discomfort in life, their stress in life, the symptom of not enough estrogen and too much testosterone. This is for women. Not enough of the female hormones, too much of the male hormones. The symptom is overwhelm. Oh, I have to do that. 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 Now, I might feel in my life as a man, oh, I've got all these things to do. But if I use my training, which is kind of automatic and easy for men, well, there's nothing I can do about it. So forget it. Mañana. I'll do it tomorrow. Right now, I just want to relax and veg out.
My wife will say to me regularly, I am so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
She'll come home from work. I am so overwhelmed. And she will start talking about, maybe different people at work, different situations that have happened at work, her email, right? I just can't get ahead of email.
It's so big.
Go ahead.
No, that's one of the most common symptoms as modern women have become more independent. Their mind goes into having to solve everything and they can't turn it off like we can, generally speaking. So here's a study that was done at Harvard where they had a man and woman, many, but the study is the woman sits on the couch, the man sits on the couch. And as soon as the woman sits on the couch, they say, now relax. And actually her brain activity increased. And they said to the woman, what happened? What's going on in your brain? She says, I'm thinking about all the things that I should be doing that I'm not doing while I'm sitting here doing this experiment. Now you ask the man, first of all, you see on the machine, you think it's broken. Activity almost stops when he sits down to relax. And then they say, and what are you thinking? He says nothing. And that's really important information for women to get, which is if your husband says he's not thinking about anything, he's not lying to you.
Right.
And it doesn't mean he doesn't love you. It doesn't mean he doesn't want to share with you, but he shows his love in different ways. And so learning to train ourselves for men is to train ourselves in those settings where she's talking about things, processing, don't speak, but ask questions. And truly, like you said, I'm just going to try to get engaged into what she's saying. Kind of like the old Indian phrase, which was, walk a mile in somebody's shoes. And it's hard for a man to walk a mile in somebody who wears high heels because you've never worn them. So So it's easy to discount things because you don't really get it. But you said something at the beginning of today when you're talking about our emotional intelligence. Learn the vocabulary. Now, this can actually help you as a man stay engaged. Because, if she's talking about wedding dresses, it's just not going to engage me very easily. And if I'm talking about car engines, it's not going to engage her. There's certain things that it's hard to hook into. But what can help a man is, one, to realize I'm giving her something that's really important to help her overcome feeling overwhelmed. Now you're solving a problem, so that helps to engage you. The second thing that can help to engage you is another way you can help her. You're asking these questions. And the third way that you're helping her, because helping is testosterone. Look what I'm doing for you.
Right.
Is to use a little emotional intelligence. And you don't have to be vast in it. There's 3 basic emotions to occasionally mention. That must be so frustrating. Okay. Or that must have made you angry. Okay. Frustration, anger. That's like red color. Then there's the blue color. Oh, how disappointing. Oh, I'd be sad too. See, right. Disappointment. So, she could say, oh, I was waiting and they didn't do this at all. I said, oh, that's really disappointing. And then it awakens her to a deeper level of what she's feeling. So in a sense, you're penetrating deeper into her, helping her to open up more. And another one was, so what are your concerns? Well, I'd be concerned too. And concern, that's the yellow. So if you had a big screen TV a long time ago, they used to have these projection screens and they only had 3 colors. It was like red and yellow and blue. And from those 3, you can produce infinite colors. And that's the whole key, which is you don't have to be a master of emotional intelligence. Starts focusing on connecting to trying to feel why she has some disappointment. What are her concerns? What's frustrating to her? Why would she be angry? So those are they're just so validating. As a counselor, that's what I do. It keeps me engaged. I don't have to solve the problems because I'm actually solving another problem, which is kind of guiding her to help her see the emotions behind the content. And when women share emotions, bang, we are always more connected. Emotions are connection.
We're talking with Dr. John Gray, author of his most recent book, Beyond Mars and Venus, and we're discussing how our hormones play a role in really our relationships, and that we don't really understand it very well. And he's helping us grasp a hold of this, these concepts. You discuss here, speaking of women in work, and I find, because I have seen this more frequently than I care to admit, is that some women can actually get addicted to the testosterone.
Oh, absolutely. What they're addicted to actually is not the testosterone. Maybe that also helps to produce endorphins, morphine. But a bigger part of it is testosterone primarily gets produced, like, for example, when you make a decision. Whenever you make a decision, it's risk and danger. It could be the right decision, the not right decision. Anytime there's risk and danger, dopamine gets produced. Now, dopamine is that addictive brain chemical. So women get over to their male side where they're making decisions. They're having to bottom line it. They're having to make choices. What do I give up here to get there? How do I get there in this amount of time? So not enough time produces dopamine. Well, that's when you're saying I'm overwhelmed. You're basically saying not enough, not enough, not enough. I don't have enough time. I can't get it all done. Well, that's danger. That is dopamine production. And here's a key, the more you verbalize, I can't do this out loud, you're actually growing pathways in your brain. And I teach women how to communicate in different ways without growing pathways that are addictive pathways. Let me give you another example, make it more clear. Complaining. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, you didn't do this. Oh, why didn't you do that? Whenever you use a complaint to the person you're complaining to, you're actually growing a pathway of using complaints to get what you want, and that becomes your training. So whenever you're not feeling I'm getting what I want, your brain immediately goes to what's wrong that I need to complain about and get more, and it amplifies over time. So what we have is these automatic negative thoughts that go around in our brain due to pathways of training ourselves to use negative emotions to get what we want. Let me give you a simple example of that. If I was a monkey and I had no communication skills at all and you stepped on my foot, I go, ow. And if you step on my foot again, I go, ow, ow. I amplify and amplify. And women have a much greater tendency to amplify their complaints to get attention, to get what they want. But the more you amplify a complaint, not only do you become addicted to it because it produces dopamine, men's reactions quite commonly is to minimize. If you amplify, he has to minimize because that's his function, is to analyze things. Is it really a big deal? Is it really a big problem? But I think maybe you're exaggerating it. So he will minimize and she will amplify more. So here's a good technique for women. If you have a complaint, say, honey, you keep forgetting to do that. Instead, you minimize it. You say, I know so many times you turn the light out, but sometimes you still forget. It's not a big deal. But when you do turn out the lights and I don't have to follow turning on lights, it makes me really happy. And then walk out of the room. It's like learning how to make a request without it being a complaint, because complaining becomes habitual. It gets rewarded with dopamine. And then suddenly your mind is filled with complaints. And when you're in a fight or flight reaction, your brain has a 10 times more bias towards looking at the negative. So we have to retrain ourselves so that even when we're under stress, the brain says, okay, I need help. How do I get it? Using my love, using acceptance, using appreciation, asking without demanding. This is all retraining ourselves.
Listen, you said at the beginning, we got to practice this. This is going to take practice if we're going to retrain. Folks, isn't he awesome? Do you understand why he's number one, right? I mean, there's a reason he's number one, because of what he said. His name's Dr. John Gray. The book is entitled Beyond Mars and Venus. You're listening to him here on A New Direction. Hey, folks, my two sponsors on A New Direction, Epic Physical Therapy. Their facilities, not facility, offers the most advanced top-of-the-line equipment, including the Alter G anti-gravity treadmill, Normatec compression sleeves, the Game Ready. It's just a few. And you know what? Their training is certified in the most comprehensive cutting-edge treatments available. Things like blood flow restriction therapy, dry needling, which I've had done, which is awesome. Cupping. You've ever seen the swimmers with the circles on their back where they're manipulating the muscle through the skin? Fantastic. Had it done. It works. Look, if you're really struggling, if you really want to go and you want to just move better, you want to recover from your injury or surgery, get your Epic relief, get your Epic recovery, get your Epic results from Epic PT. Just go to epicpt.com. And Linda Craft and Team Realtors, I don't care where you're at in the world, they can help you. Why? Because they're independently owned and operated, and here's the deal. They have been able to establish relationships with the best professionals all over the world, meaning that they're not glued to some company. They actually know the best professionals where you live, and they can help you find the best professional for you, whether you're selling or buying your home. That's why her clients call her, to this day, 35 years later, right? The legend of customer service. So listen, when you're ready to sell or buy your home, don't look any further. Go to Linda Craft and Team Realtors. You can learn more by going to lindacraft.com. That's LINDACRAFT.com. And we're back here on A New Direction with Dr. John Gray and his book, Beyond Mars and Venus. John, I want to have you talk about the men's side. I want you to pontificate a little bit about men and estrogen and what really happens, because I don't think we understand ourselves very well.
Yeah, men don't. I can say women are more on their male side and everybody goes, yeah, women are more independent. But if I say men are more on their female side, nobody knows what that means. So what it means is more emotion. It also means more playtime, wanting to enjoy your life more. Estrogen is a feminine energy, and it's produced whenever you're dependent on something that gives you what you want. So if I'm watching a great Netflix movie, actually, for a while, my estrogen levels will start to get up, particularly if it becomes a habit. Now I'm depending upon the TV. My estrogen levels go up. If you're looking at the news, you're kind of addicted to the danger of the news. That gives you a little testosterone spike. But because you're so addicted to it, then that's dopamine. I'm sorry, that's also dopamine, but it's estrogen. Whenever you're dependent on something outside yourself for your happiness, for your fulfillment, for your help, when you're the dazzle in distress and someone comes to your rescue, dependence is estrogen producing. So men have to be careful that they're not depending on their wives and their children for their primary source of happiness. They depend on their behaviors to raise their testosterone up. Then they can that raises testosterone. Independence raises testosterone. Then you depend on somebody else to bring your estrogen up. And as your estrogen comes up with your testosterone can go higher as they both go up. And that's when you're feeling in love. So it's whenever, here's the big aha when people read this book, and it's research that's not commonly known because it was more recent. Testosterone does not cause anger. Most people think men's aggression is testosterone. And actually the aggression comes about when he's got a challenge. His testosterone does rise to meet the challenge, but he doesn't feel confident. If he doesn't feel confident, the testosterone starts going down, the estrogen rises, and he experiences emotion. And the emotions you feel when your testosterone is low are primarily anger, sadness, guilt, and fear. Fight or flight are commonly seen as the high estrogen emotions,
Right.
But it's also fake and fold, which is, this is the guy who's kind of like, whatever she says, I'll never get what I want anyway. Or he pretends, oh yeah, I love you so much, but he doesn't inside. So these are these reactions that we have that are estrogen producing. What we're seeing today, and I should make note of this, is the younger generation is primarily, for males, addicted to porn. Addicted to something means you're dependent on that to make you happy. And this is now the research shows that the more dependent you are on porn to experience arousal, the less you're able to get it from a real woman. Also, when you do it with porn, your testosterone levels continue to decrease and decrease and decrease. If you do it with someone you love, they will increase unless you do it too much. And this is also what happens for newly together couples. They go off on a vacation and they do it so much. Afterwards, his testosterone shrink down and he loses interest in her, as opposed to moderation in all things. So one little piece of interest, this is amazing research the Japanese did on young men, 25 years old. So they're bursting with testosterone. When they have sex on Saturday night, afterwards, the next day, their testosterone levels are half. They will stay at half for 6 days. On the 7th day, they will double. If they have sex twice, or they have sex with themselves twice, doesn't matter, they're ejaculating. If they ejaculate, it will go down 50%, and it takes a full 6 to 7 days to fully recover, and then it doubles. It literally doubles. So in my clients, I teach them abstinence, have sex on Saturday night, then abstain from any sexual release. You can be affectionate, loving, and warming and everything. Just for the man, don't have the sexual release. Then on the 7th day, sex gets better and better and better, and you rebuild your testosterone levels that way. And it only gets rebuilt. If you're just celibate all the time, it doesn't get rebuilt either. You have to use it and then have it go down, wait 6 days, and it doubles. And they did this for people for athletic performance. They proved their athletic performance improved dramatically with the double burst of testosterone if they abstain from release for 6 to 7 days.
That's amazing.
Yes, it's amazing.
That's amazing, because I think there's also some sort of male theory, and of course it would come from a male, right? But I think there's this manly theory that says, well, the more I have sex, the more I am able to, I'm producing more testosterone. But it really is true.
Well, look at the statistics in terms of marriage. After 7 years, most couples don't have sex, maybe once a month, and half don't. This is like crazy stuff that happens. And again, we looked at some of the research, the beginning research that helped me see this. Single men have twice as much testosterone. I said twice? No, I think it's just much higher levels of testosterone than married men. As soon as you actually then committed, once a man commits to a relationship, his testosterone levels will drop. Then he gets married, they'll drop again. Then he has children, they'll drop again. This is not inevitable. I'm 70 years old and mine are 50% higher than when I was a young man. So, but due to the sexual practices and relationships tool, because men need to feel, just as a woman needs to feel, I can open up and share with my partner. A man needs to feel that when you come home, your wife is happy to see you. You're like the hero, she's not alone anymore. You're the guy. So you're not coming in and she's saying, you forgot to call me. It's okay for her to say that, but not when you first come home. We should all feel when we come home, it's this comfort zone where we are, for men particularly, to raise their testosterone, they need to feel primarily 3 emotions: appreciation, acceptance. Nobody's trying to fix or change me. Somebody appreciates what I provide. and I'm trusted. I'm the guy you can depend on. We're the hero. These kinds of love, actually, if a woman feels those kinds of love, her estrogen will go up and his testosterone will go up. The kinds of love that are primary for women are when a man demonstrates caring and consideration, empathy and understanding, and respect for her needs as well as his own and the children. So she doesn't feel second citizen. Otherwise, her estrogen levels go down. One of the reasons women love being parents, one of the reasons is when the children look at you, you're important. That's why women want that commitment. Then you are important. You're not having to compete with other women, because if you have to compete, you have to go to your male side. So I'm free of competition. I can come back to my female side. So these are all behaviors that actually strengthen the right hormones inside of us.
You know what's so interesting about this, John, and you talk about this as well, is that so often we really are magnets, aren't we? I mean, yes. our polarizations are sometimes just.
Well, let me tell you the example of it. You described it with your wife. She's talking. You're not talking much. You're just showing interest. What's going on there is by not doing anything but doing something. Silence is very testosterone producing. When you go fishing and just sit there and not talk, what are you doing? You're rebuilding your testosterone. If you're a meditator, you're quieting the mind, you're forgetting your problems. It's a major testosterone producer. For women, if they're doing kind of a guided meditation where somebody's guiding them, or a yoga class where somebody's telling them what to do, that produces estrogen. So being guided by others produces estrogen. Like old-fashioned dancing where men would lead and women would follow. If you look at these couples, women are in heaven. It's like they're making love because their estrogen levels go up because he knows the right steps.
You talk about also that, and I want to just kind of list a few of these, because you talk about some of the most common symptoms of chronic stress in a man. And I think this is really important for both the guys and the gals to hear when they see these symptoms. You talk about low motivation, apathy, rigidity or stubbornness, anger, irritability, resistance to change, low libido with his wife, and you already talked, more likely to be addicted to porn, moodiness, anxiety, despair, aggression.
All of those have to do with elevated estrogen and low testosterone in men. And one other is heart attacks. All heart attacks are due to low testosterone in men. Now, you can't say it caused it. You can say it's always there. Right. If you have a heart attack, your testosterone at that time is very, very low. And quite often your estrogen is higher. And that's a factor that you don't hear about. Why? Because giving somebody testosterone doesn't fix it. It's learning how to make it is the solution.
I know that your daughter, Lauren, and MarsVenus.com, right? That's the name of their website, right? I know and I know that your daughter, Lauren, is involved quite a bit, and she does a lot of work with women as well. And there was a piece in this book that really got my attention. It was me time, we time, you time.
Yeah.
Right? And I think there's something here that I found to be really interesting. My wife has a best friend. Matter of fact, they're listening to this show right now as they're driving to go skiing together, right?
Oh, perfect.
And so they're literally, I know they're watching live. So, hey Beth, hey babe. So they're driving down. I found their relationship has changed our relationship to be amazing.
Yes, because she's getting her need, another need other than a man in her life, fulfilled through friendship. And friendship is part of me time. She's doing something for me that balances her hormones. And what she's doing is either estrogen producing or progesterone producing. Both of those hormones are feminine hormones.
I just find it to be absolutely amazing when they're together, just how much better she is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we, as guys, I don't know, I can't, but as guys, sometimes, we kind of get together and we're, it's not always pretty when guys get together because, we're loud and obnoxious pretty much, but it's kind of what we do to bond. But their relationship is far more, it's just it's a rhythm to watch.
Well, let me validate both, because I have two men's groups that I've been a part of for over 25 years. And hanging out with guys where nobody's judging you all the
Right.
time. Nobody's going to be hurt by your feelings. You see,
Right.
that's what guys do. It's sort of a time to be kind of hard on each other, laugh at each other, make fun with each other, compete with each other. In various settings, you can do that. Now, that produces testosterone. But for women, you might be saying it's more intimate, it's more harmonious, it's more supportive. That's what produces estrogen. And so women being together with other women is automatically, if they're not competing with each other or is not competing too much, that's estrogen and progesterone producing. And men just hanging out with each other or being on a team or competing with each other is a big testosterone producer.
Can I tell you something? We've been on an hour and I have enjoyed hanging out with you.
Thank you. We'll do it again.
I would love to do this again. You have been, I hope you've had as good a time as I have. I've had a great time.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Rarely do my interviewers have read my book. I mean, you've underlined the book. You tell me. I love it. I love it.
Well, I enjoyed the book. Listen, I still have, I'm only on 37 pages of my notes. So I still have 63 pages to go of notes. So we've got a long ways to go because we didn't even talk about, when women go into menopause and those type of things. But there's so much more in terms of what we can do in relationships. So, John, the show's called A New Direction because the goal of this show is to help people find a new direction and success and leadership in their lives, their careers, their business. You've been with me and you've been a tremendous guest, and I know I'm going to have you back. But if you could leave the listeners with a new direction from Dr. John Gray, author of Beyond Mars and Venus, what would be your new direction for them?
Well, one of the we've talked about a new direction all day, but one thing I want to leave with we didn't cover, I think is very important, and that's during this time of lockdown, where many people are not getting their other needs that they have met. We tend to put too much on our partner. Think of it like we have 5 vitamins, A, B, C, D, E, F, all those vitamins, and vitamin D is the relationship vitamin. Now, so you're getting your partner at home, you're getting your vitamin D, but if you don't have all the other vitamins, vitamin D does nothing. If you have all the vitamins except vitamin D, which is produced by the sun, and you go out into the sun, you suddenly feel fantastic. So your partner can make you feel fantastic if you have all the other vitamins. So think about your partner's job is only to make you happier. Their job is not to make you happy. So if you're unhappy, don't look to them. Look to yourself. Find your happiness. And from there, you'll be much easier to be made happier. That will make him more attracted to you. It will make you more attracted to him. If we're not looking and demanding more from our partners, which tends to automatically happen when we're in a fight or flight state.
His name is Dr. John Gray. The book is entitled Beyond Mars and Venus, and he is awesome, ladies and gentlemen, isn't he? Listen, I can already see people who are all over Facebook going, man, this is so cool. This is awesome. People all over the world at Castbox FM Live. This is so cool. This is so awesome. Folks, share the show. Go ahead, John.
Hey, Jay, just mentioned on Facebook, every Thursday, 10 o'clock Pacific time, I do 3 to 4 hours of question and answers and topics. So
it's Mars Venus.
It's John Gray, Mars Venus.
Yeah, John Gray, Mars Venus is the Facebook page. I've been there. I've actually watched some of the videos. Oh, they're really good.
Thank you.
By the way. Yeah, they're really, really good. I'm telling you, folks, go. It's John Gray. That's JOHNGRAY, and then Mars, MARS, Venus, VENUS, Facebook page. Fantastic, right? By the way, the website's marsvenus.com. And by the way, you can see some of Lauren's blogs as well. They're ladies as well. And she, by the way, she is outstanding. So
thank you so much. I'll tell her she appreciates the positive feedback. She teaches a woman's only course called How to Get Your Me Time. It's the you time, me time, we time system, because those 3 different things produce different hormones that women have to make sure they're getting it all.
I think that's going to be something we're talking about in the next time we do this together.
Okay. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the show. Wasn't he great? Of course he was, right? You know what I say to you every week, right? Be inspired, because when you're inspired, that means that you can inspire other people. And when they get inspired, they in turn want to inspire others, and that can make this world an amazing place. I'm going to be back here next week with another great guest, another great book, and another great show. And as I say to you every week, ciao, everybody.
Come for a new direction. Yeah, yeah. confidence, and the answers don't make sense. You got to keep your hope alive. You got to know you can survive. This is your time to fly. A new direction, a brand new day. A new direction, things are gonna change. You can find the strength to go a different way, yeah. The time has come. Your dreams will take you places you have never been before. Find your passion, find your strength.